Welcome everyone. We are back with another epic video to find out the best infantry unit in Calradia. Everybody says they know the best infantry unit in Bannerlord. Some swear by the Legionary, some worship the Vlandian Sergeant. And some psychopaths think a giant axe solves every problem. So today, we are ending the debate. I gathered the strongest infantry units from every culture in Calradia and threw them into a brutal melee tournament. 200 versus 200. Only one unit can claim the title of Bannerlord's best infantry. And trust me, some of these results completely surprised me. Starting in D tier, we have the Sturgian heavy Spearman. Now, before the Sturgia fans attack me in the comments, hear me out. The heavy Spearman isn't a bad unit. The problem is that this tournament is about infantry versus infantry. And that is where the Spearman struggles. Against cavalry, this unit is excellent. But against infantry, however, the spear often becomes a liability once the battle turns into a crowded melee. They are durable, they are reliable, but compared to the other units, they simply do not kill enough.
Infantry! Move! Attack! You heard me.
The Vlandian Pikeman suffers from the exact same problem. The unit was designed to ruin a cavalry charge. Unfortunately, there were no cavalry charges in this tournament. When fighting elite infantry, the pike becomes awkward and difficult to use effectively. They're specialists fighting outside their specialty,
At them!
and that lands them in D tier.
Targets in charge!
The Oathsworn might be the biggest
Sergeants, take
disappointment of the
command!
tournament. Not because they're bad, because they're good at everything and great at nothing. They have decent armor, decent shields, decent weapons, but at no point did they make me think, wow, this unit is special.
Attack! You heard the order! Attack!
The veteran infantry is one of the most
Sergeant
balanced
Ram!
units in the game. No glaring weaknesses, no major strengths. They perform well in almost every situation. The issue is that the units above them simply do something better.
Cut them down!
The Wildling is probably the most unique infantry unit in this ranking. Their javelins can completely change a battle before melee even starts. Few infantry units can claim that. The reason they are not higher is simple. Once the ammunition runs out, they are no longer exceptional. Strong, versatile, but not dominant. Most players ignore Khuzait infantry because they are overshadowed by the faction's cavalry. But in these battles, the Darkhan proved they belong in the conversation. Solid armor, reliable performance, they may not be spectacular, but they get their job done.
Attack!
Now we're entering serious territory. The heavy Axeman felt like everything the heavy Spearman wanted to be. Strong offense, strong defense, a shield that keeps them alive, and enough to actually threaten the elite infantry. Unlike many units in this tournament, the heavy Axeman never felt outmatched. The heroic line breaker doesn't win battles by surviving longer. He wins them by making sure the other dies first. And honestly, if this ranking was based purely on damage output, they might be fighting for S tier. The problem is versatility. A legionary can perform in almost any situation. A sergeant can hold a line all day. A heroic line breaker is either the hero of the battle or the guy first to die. And that is what keeps him just outside the very top tier.
Attack!
The Menavliaton might be the most dangerous infantry killer in the Empire roster. Their reach, damage, and their ability to break formations, it's all incredible. The only thing holding them back is their survivability. No shield means every mistake becomes expensive. If they had better protection, they might be fighting for S tier. one of the biggest surprises of the tournament. These guys hit harder than most players expect. Good armor, strong weapons, excellent combat performance. The Palace Guard may not receive the same attention as Legionaries or Sergeants, but they absolutely deserve respect.
Cut them down!
The Sergeant is the Legionary's closest rival. In pure infantry combat, many players would even argue that the Sergeant is superior. Heavy armor, massive shield, excellent survivability, and impressive melee capability. The Sergeant doesn't have many weaknesses, and that is exactly why it earned a place in S tier.
Look, man! Attack!
The Imperial Legionary. What makes the Legionary so strong isn't that it dominates one category. It doesn't hit as hard as a Falxman. It doesn't have the throwing power of a Wildling. It doesn't have the raw aggression of a heroic line breaker. Instead, it does everything exceptionally well. Excellent armor, excellent shield, strong one-handed weapon, and most importantly, consistency. No matter who stood in front of them, the Legionaries always found a way to compete. No infantry unit in Bannerlord is as complete as the Legionary. That is why it belongs in S tier. And finally, the biggest surprise, the Battanian veteran Falxman. This unit is absolutely terrifying. Every swing feels lethal. Every engagement feels dangerous. Unlike many glass cannon units, the Falxman consistently translated damage into results. When I started this tournament, I didn't expect them to be here. But after watching the battles, I couldn't justify putting them anywhere else other than S tier.
They're moving!